I love the last line that Nathan shared from Shakti Gawain's book, Living in the Light, and that was, as the ego surrenders to trusting the universe, the spirit penetrates every cell of the body, transforming our darkness into light. Not only is that beautiful, it's the absolute truth. And that just, I carried that with me all week as I found that reading. I thought, wow, that's really huge. So I wonder, and actually I believe that we all have a common burning question. And that burning question is, what can I do on a personal level to make this world a better, more peaceful place? I know we've all questioned ourselves on that because we see things that we don't like, that we're not happy with. And we absolutely want to make a change. And the truth is this, it's very simple to find the answer to that question. Not easy, but it's simple. Because all we have to do is go within. Many great teachers, mystics alike, speak a lot about how the world is our mirror. And that what we see out there is simply a reflection of what's going on in here. Now, if we subscribe to that idea that everyone and everything in our life is a reflection, then we understand that the chaos and the confusion is of our own creation. And I'm talking subconsciously. I'm not suggesting any of us are out there saying, oh my gosh, watch what I can do. But we begin to realize that there are no accidents or events that are happening around us that are unrelated to us. All the people in our lives are reflections of the different characteristics and feelings, our hopes, our dreams, our desires, our aspirations that live within us. So, what does that mean? That means that the beautiful people that are surrounding you this morning, the ones that you admire, the ones that you look up to, the ones you say, gee, I wish I were that, is a reflection of who you are. And you are that. Now, at the same time, what that also means is the characteristics, the traits, the qualities that you see in those that maybe you aren't so fond of are also yours. You get those too. And I'm not at all suggesting that that is a reason to look down on yourself or to be hard on yourself. I'm here to remind you, my job is to remind you that the universe is giving you the gift of awareness. The opportunity to change something if you so desire. Just a little nudge, if you will. Now that's also true of the circumstances in our world, whether our own little world or the world at large. So whatever's going on out there, be it war, hate, poverty, pain, if it affects us greatly on a deep level in some way, it is most likely reflecting what's going on within us. I'm not saying we created it. I'm saying that it's touching us for a reason. So poverty, for instance, on a personal and on a worldwide level, is supported by a mass consciousness, that belief in scarcity. And that's just out there. And as we take that position of that belief in scarcity and really have that true belief, then we are supporting that belief in lack, both on a personal level and on a worldwide level. I didn't say create, I said support. And when we support something, we are creating it in our own lives. And just as our bodies are indeed a manifestation of our consciousness in form, in physical form, as Nathan has explained in that reading, the earth is a manifestation of our mass consciousness. Does that make sense to you? In a sense, our earth is a collective body, and the way we treat her mirrors the way we treat ourselves, mirrors the way that we treat our bodies. I don't mean that you specific, I mean you general. The world is currently experiencing what some may call a healing crisis, and really has been for some time. And coincidentally, or not, it parallels what many individuals are experiencing and feeling. Something to look at and think about. The underlying problems of the world are the same as the underlying problems of individual human beings. The center of which is what? Pain, fear, and the ignorance that we experience from the idea of being separate from the power and the presence of all that is. There's a quote here that's attributed to Jesus from a book called The Dialogue of the Savior. It is the mind that illuminates the body, so that when all things are in order within yourself, you will become luminous. Wow. Kind of like that reading again, right? Taking us from the darkness to the light. As we become more luminous, we become more in harmony with our own truth, our light, and we release ourselves from that darkness. Transformation then begins on an individual level, and it moves out into the world. The more we open up to what is and trusting our intuitive divine nature, the more energy the universe can easily move through us. And as it moves it through us, we're creating the life we want, the life that we so desire to live and to experience while we're here. And what happens? We do that individually and then globally. So when we have a passion, a burning desire to see a change in the world, that's exactly where we need to begin our inner work. And that way we can have an effect on the world. Try spending some quiet time figuring out where in your life that you might be having a same situation occur. If we're seeing, feeling, experiencing the same problems or hassles or struggles constantly, the same thing over and over, different players, same problem, that's a clue for us to take a really good look at what's going on within us. Guess what? It can't always be them. Just saying. It's a great opportunity and a great reminder for us to take a good, solid look at our words, at our actions, and our deeply held beliefs about life. It might be time for us to make that shift in awareness, to open our eyes to something new, to something different. Maybe we aren't right all the time. I said maybe. When we trust our divine nature and we become true to ourselves, true to our desires, our passions, our wants and our needs in all aspects of our life, everything begins to fall into place much more easily, much more effortlessly, much more efficiently. We let go of fear and we trust the process of life. Now, our work is to identify those issues, those problems, and heal that part of us so we can and will freely express our divine nature. And then we participate in changing the world in a very positive way, albeit one person at a time. But that's where it all begins, right? Right here with me. Now, I'm not talking about things that we should do or things that we should be, because those shoulds tend to be motivated by fear and by guilt. And when we're motivated by that fear and guilt, we aren't really getting the most out of our thoughts, our words, and our actions. We're doing it because we're supposed to. We simply aren't as effective as we can be if we do it from a different place. So the idea is to do our work intuitively, to consult and, most importantly, listen to that divine guidance and to follow it, trusting our intuition, following our heart, knowing the direction of the divine wisdom that is being given to us. And when you do that, watch how the world around you changes. It's amazing. Whether you can see it or not, it's also changing in the bigger picture. Some say that's really a silly thought, that one person cannot make a difference. Well, I beg to differ. I know they can. All you have to do is think about that 100th monkey syndrome, right? If you're not familiar with that, in Japan in 1952, scientists were studying the behavior of wild monkeys. And their principal source of food was sweet potatoes. So one day the scientists noticed that a monkey started washing her potato prior to eating it. Something none of the monkeys had ever done prior. And now she did that for a few days in a row. And soon what the scientists noticed was that all the other monkeys started mimicking that same behavior, all washing their potatoes prior to consumption. By 1958, all the monkeys on the island were exhibiting that new behavior. 6 short years. Here's the remarkable part. Scientists on nearby islands started noticing their monkeys were doing the same thing, washing their potatoes prior to eating them. No physical connection between the islands, no physical connection between any of the monkeys. None of them had been transported from one island to the other. There was no scientific reason for that to be happening. You know what they decided? The most likely explanation, mass consciousness. Wow. When enough monkeys on the planet had acquired that new level of consciousness, apparently it transferred to monkeys on all the other islands without any physical contact or direct communication. What a powerful message for our human race, yes? Huge message. And it is indeed exactly like Margaret Mead said, never doubt that one small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And that is the truth. When even a small group of people change and shift their consciousness, the way we think, the way we behave, and perceive the world, then absolutely peace and harmony, unity is absolutely a possibility. And where does it begin? Here and here. It's as easy as learning to intuitively wash potatoes. As we change, the change is experienced on a global level, whether we see it or not, whether we recognize it or not. And as we change our behavior and our thoughts, it cannot help but make a change in the world. And it's because we're all one, because we're all connected. And sometimes we forget, and we forget that we're all from the same source. That 100th monkey syndrome is a clear reminder of that. And perhaps one of the most critical times that we forget our oneness is when we're in judgment of other people. Do we judge world events with hate and disgust? Are we adding to that energy without seeing the fear and the pain that others may be experiencing? Are we contributing to the unrest in our world, or are we contributing to the peace of it? We are each and all this perfect, beautiful manifestation of the divine, and we're here not solely because of what we need to experience. We're here because of what we are bringing to this planet, to this world. You're important. You're here for a reason. You're important. You carry within you the full beauty of your spirit, whether or not you choose to see it or whether or not you choose to experience it. It's there. And what I know is that you, as you develop the ability to perceive that truth, you will begin to perceive it much more easily in others. That is how we begin to move beyond the experience of separation. And so we can understand and live our responsibility to ourselves, to our community, and to the world. I'm going to close with a story about a man who died. And he entered heaven and he's shaking his fist at God. And he said, "Why didn't you do something, God, about all the suffering in the world that I just left?" And God said, "I did. I sent you." We can utilize our precious time here complaining about what others are or are not doing, or we can consciously decide, this is what I can do. Make the changes in your life where you feel the greatest lack, where you feel the world has the greatest need, and when you give that, you change yourself, and by extension, you're changing the world. Thank you for being here while I shared this truth as I understand it.